Hello and welcome to the closing ceremony for Digital Futures 2024 and also the ceremony giving out the International Awards for Digital Futures. I want to start by thanking the tutors for their selfless contribution to the workshops this year. It's very rewarding in a world that is divided to see such unity, people coming together, and in a world which is dominated by a kind of capitalistic rat race to make money, to see people genuinely giving up their time for free. If there's one thing I think the Digital Futures it's managed to do is to really bring people together and to establish a kind of sense of community and a kind of sense of a platform in which to share our passion for architecture. And it's so reassuring and so heartwarming to see these contributions. This year, we started off a few weeks ago with an in-person workshop in China, and we've just completed our online workshops all over the world. And just to give you, for those who are not familiar, Digital Futures goes back to 2011 when I brought a group of students across to China under the auspices of the American Academy in China. But it really came of age with the pandemic. We had been having an annual conference series of workshops in person in Shanghai with a few hundred people, and that's still going on, but predominantly for a Chinese, domestic Chinese audience. And with the pandemic, we realized that we could do all sorts of things we couldn't do before. We decided to go online and to go global. And Digital Futures changed from an event that would have a few hundred to many, many thousands joining in. And the rest, they say, is history. What I think I find so reassuring is that when that event during the pandemic, we discovered one thing very important. That is that not only could you break through the physical walls of the classroom by going online, but you could also break through some of the social, economic, and political obstacles that have prevented people, certain individuals, from having access to important educational ideas. And that's really what we use our platform for these days, is as a way of sharing educational ideas for free to people around the world, especially those in the less advantaged communities. For us, education should be a human right and not solely a privilege of the wealthy. What I think is extraordinary about these online workshops this year is that we have broken our record for the number of countries, 85 different countries from all over the world, including some remarkable new ones from which we haven't had students before, places like Kazakhstan, Nepal, Bolivia, Thailand, Uganda, and so on. A huge number of countries, and it's great to know that the Digital Futures community is spreading. We're also very gratified to have almost 100 students joining us from Pakistan. There's also a considerable community of Digital Futures followers coming to this workshop from Iran, India, and the States. That is incredibly reassuring. So thank you so much to the tutors for their contributions. I also want to mention the team itself, the team behind the whole of the Digital Futures project. I can't really single out anyone because it's really much a team effort, but just for the sake I do need to highlight a couple of few individuals. First of all, I want to say that Bavling has been an astonishing figure behind everything, holding things together, incredibly selfless, incredibly organized, and an astonishing team member, a selfless team member. I want to thank Bavling in particular. There's also a number of others there. I'm just going to simply mention those that I've had the privilege to meet in person during the past year. First of all, I met Angelica Poncio in Uruguay at Ponte del Este at the SIGRAD conference, and that was amazing to see. Then I met Michael Just in both Hong Kong and Delft, and finally I met Zeynep in Turkey. To actually meet in person these individuals who've put so much into it is an astonishing thing. So thank you, team. I want to say that we these are the team behind it. I always describe Digital Futures as being a bit like an iceberg. What you see on the surface is just a tenth, a fraction of what's happening. There is an incredible amount of organization that goes behind this event. We were already organizing events for the next year. With Mikhail, I've been organizing a series on AI that will start in September and October with some of the leading figures in the world of AI, including Stuart Russell. And then in the following semester, we're going to be working on philosophy again, working with Theo Delft. And it's great to be collaborating with particular institutions and building up the profile of digital futures. Next slide. So we move on to our first award. I have to say that we had a very special guest to introduce this award. He's not showed up yet. We will include his video when we publish this the individual awards things. But let me step in and take this role, because it is an enormous pleasure to be able to introduce to thank John Frazer, who is really I think it would be an understatement to say that he's the godfather of computation in architecture. John has a career that goes back many years. He was the first student to make a computational drawing, and then he went on to be a pioneer in all sorts of fields. He was teaching at the Architectural Association, collaborating with people like Gordon Pask, with Cedric Price, teaching Zaha Hadid and many other luminaries. And after that, he went on pursued a career all over the world, including, I think, most importantly, almost his book, An Evolutionary Architecture, that stands out as something that still is an incredible work, that's incredibly relevant even today. Of course, John would have benefited, I think, from the introduction of CPUs, from the way in which computers now have become way more powerful. But in a sense, the fact that they have now, and the fact that neural networks and the things that John was pushing earlier on have become so successful, just goes down to the kind of the vision, the foresight that John himself had early on in his career. John has been returned to the AA. He's been teaching in Belfast, in Queensland, in Hong Kong, all over the world. He's truly a kind of an ambassador, shall we say, for the computational world in architecture. So, John, it gives me a great pleasure to be making this award, the International Award that is given overall globally to a leading figure, and in some senses the most important, I think, Digital Futures Award of the year. John, congratulations.
Well, thank you, Neil, for stepping in for that generous introduction. Well improvised. I would like, of course, to thank the Digital Futures Committee for offering me this award, which I'm delighted and honoured to accept. Neil suggested I said a few words about my time at the Architectural Association and the very beginnings of design computation. The AA was founded in 1847 by students as a reaction against the prevailing apprenticeship system under which architectural training was obtained. Now, astonishingly, the radical agenda that they established has continuously reinvented itself for nearly 200 years now, despite serious financial problems and even government attempts to close down what was seen as a dangerous institution. The AA has managed to survive, and survive brilliantly, as an independent, self-governing organism. Its radical politics and agenda of continuous experimentation attracted brilliant staff and students internationally, and whilst it's had more than its fair share of problems, it's always managed to move forward. There were no computers at the AA when I arrived in 1963, so I saw my first task as a student to rectify this problem. I introduced the thought experiment of computing without computers into my work right from the start, and I immediately hit some problems. For example, I was presenting a first-year project where my drawings referred to a computer schedule. But one sharp-eyed critic noticed, he said, "But there is no schedule." And I, of course, responded, "That's because there's no computer yet." By my fourth year, my tutor, John Starling, was able to seriously help my ambitions. But the AA still had no computers and no lecturers on programming. So John arranged for me to go on a programming course at the London School of Economics. And as a result, and with a great deal of help from my tutor, I managed to generate and draw my project by hiring time on a commercial computer with a flatbed plotter, but no screen graphics, so no preview. So even getting the drawing onto the paper was a huge challenge. No AutoCAD then, of course, so every line of the drawings had to be programmed by me. I'm very proud to say that I used generative techniques and machine learning from the outset. But the cost was astronomical, and my life was saved by the BBC coming to film the drawings being plotted, and they paid all my computer costs. Thus, the first computer-generated project ever was shown on television in 1968 and subsequently published in the AD magazine. Well, after that, the rest was easy. My fifth-year master, Peter Cook, and my tutor, James Gowan, were hugely supportive, and I got the year prize as an acknowledgement. I went straight on to lecture at Cambridge University, where I had at last got access to serious computers and even a graphics display screen. In 1979, there was only one in Cambridge, 69, sorry. 69, there was only one graphics display screen at Cambridge. And you would think, if you looked at AD magazine, that every architect in the country had one on his desk. No way. But most importantly, I had the generous support of the head of the mathematics laboratory, who provided me with a programmer to write matrix manipulations in Atlas Titan machine code, something you really don't want to know about. Then back to the AA in 1973, where I introduced computation into our intermediate units work, using my Cambridge contacts to provide the actual computation, because the AA still did not have a computer. Did have a teletype to a remote time-sharing machine, but that isn't great for doing graphics, I can tell you. And finally, I went back to the AA again in the late 80s to run a diploma unit where generative and evolutionary computing was central to the project. I appointed Cedric Price and Gordon Pask as unit staff, and my wife was also appointed who built all the AA computer systems. So by 1990, the AA at least had serious computational capability. Other tutors, such as Zaha Hadid and the chairman, Alvin Bialski, stood up to support the experimental nature of our unit's work. So the students all passed, despite there being no buildings. And this led to an exhibition in 1995 and the publication of a book on evolutionary architecture. So, after 30 years, I felt I'd achieved my self-appointed student ambition to introduce computational experimentation into architectural education. Thank you to your committee, and thank you, Neil.
Thank you, John. It's really a huge honor to have you and to be able to give the award to you, because it's exactly the kind of person that we need to. Someone who's really been a godfather, who's really broken new ground and opened up new lines of inquiry. You know, and architecture, I think, builds upon these fresh new initiatives. We are going to stay, in a sense, with the Architectural Association for a moment, because the next award is the Mark Cousins Award, which is an award that we give out to a leading theorist. We're actually looking for those who, in a sense, a bit like John, are iconoclastic, introducing fresh and imaginative new ways and opening up new lines of inquiry to approach in terms of architectural theory, and not necessarily theory in the conventional sense, or not necessarily an architect, but working in the broad field of architecture itself. And I'd like to start by thanking our committee, which consists of Sanford Quinter, who is, I think, the leading figure after Mark Cousins in terms of pushing the theoretical agenda worldwide. And it's fantastic to have him on the team, along with our three previous award winners, Alexander Jaisk, Anna Maria Duran Callisto, and our last year winner, Andrei Radman. And also, I want to thank Michaela yet again for contributing towards this. It's always a huge debate about who to give the award to. There's a lot of theoretical debate, shall we say, going on. I've never seen any award that takes longer. But this year, I'm delighted to be able to offer it to somebody who is truly iconoclastic and whose work is, I think, of the moment in many ways. A.L. Weissman. A.L. himself was a student at the AA. He went on to undertake a PhD at the London Consortium, of which the AA was part, and he worked under Mark Cousins himself. And that, I think, is an astonishing achievement. And while I was teaching at the AA, I've got to say, Mark continually would mention AR's name and talk about his incredible contribution. In hindsight, I kind of see it as a bit of a kind of criticism of my own work in theory. But it was as though Mark was saying, why do you do something useful like Eyal? Eyal is certainly an iconoclastic figure, somebody who is challenging the way we think about the world, an important voice in the way that he operates. He has effectively opened up a completely new line of theory in looking at how architecture is the site of various socio-political violations, especially involving human rights. He looks at architecture in his group, forensic architecture, in the same way that we might look at forensic evidence. How does architecture, how can it be used? How does our understanding of architecture be used to open up and bring insights into what has been going on? In 2022, the Peabody Award program commented that he had opened up an entirely new field of emerging media research. And so too in 2024, the European Research Council stressed that it was an incredible breakthrough in terms of kind of the work that he has been doing. So just to say something more about Eyal, he is originally from Israel. He's based in London now. He's a professor at Goldsmiths College at the University of London. And when he was working at the AA, he started looking at architecture in political terms and seeing the role of architecture in terms of how it's operating. He did his PhD on settler colonialism in Israel, a highly controversial but an extraordinary body of work, and went on to found the forensic architecture, looking at architecture as the trace, as evidence of these essentially human rights violations. And he's been looking at this group has been looking all over the world at many of these violations, looking at the role of architecture and the urban environment in it. He's been looking at Namibia, the genocide that's been going on there. He's been looking at the various police killings in Europe, such as, for example, Mark Duggan. He's been looking at the theater bombing in Ukraine, at gold mining in the Amazon rainforest, something that I think resonates a chord with us in Digital Futures, because we had a whole session organized by Andrea Macruz looking at the rainforest and addressing all these questions. And I want to stress that what we do in Digital Futures is not solely looking at the technological, and certainly what we try to do is move beyond the fetishization of the technological, but we're also interested in these social, political, and economic insights, and especially environmental insights these days. Architecture is, of course, grounded in all these areas. Anyway, Mark Eyal has been doing these things. He has he's been contributing to various inquiries at a political level, and also importantly, from a kind of more aesthetic level, have been contributing towards various exhibitions. He believes that it's important to make this evidence open for everyone. And life has not necessarily been so easy for Eyal. Doing this kind of work, of course, is going to be controversial, especially among those whom you are criticizing. He found the last time I should have met up with Eyal. Actually, Eyal was not allowed to come. There was an exhibition that was organized for forensic architecture in Miami, and his ESTA application to the States, his visa, in effect, to the States, was cancelled by the US government. This just goes to show the difficult world in which he's operating, but at the same time, I want to stress it is an astonishingly important contribution to everything else. And I think for me, it's what I want to stress here is that I know that everything shouldn't be based on the AA, but I've got to say his connection to Mark Cousins is really a very beautiful one. Not only was Mark Cousins always continually eulogizing Eyal's contribution, but when Eyal accepted the award, he accepted it very graciously because of his special relationship with Mark himself. And I also wanted to mention, not that she was on the committee, but I did run it past Parveen Adams, that is Mark Cousins' widow, and she commented that Mark would have been delighted to hear that, would have been very pleased to hear that Eyal had been awarded. So it gives me great honor, great privilege to be able to make the award to Eyal Weissman. Eyal himself is on vacation right now, but we recorded an acceptance speech by Eyal. So let's move on to Eyal, and congratulations to Eyal Weissman to receive this on behalf of forensic architecture. Congratulations.
I'm delighted to accept this year's Digital Futures Mark Cousins Fary Award on behalf of Forensic Architecture. I would like to thank Neil Leach, Sanford Quinter, Michael Jass, Alexandra Yeshke, Anna Maria Callisto, Andrei Radman, and of course Parveen Adams for this honor. I first met Mark 30 years ago. I was a first-year student and he was head of theory at the AA. My tutor at the time passed on to him a small essay that I wrote. Mark asked me for lunch, and many lunches followed. Over the years, our relationship grew to become as close, deep, as dear as they get. After I graduated and undertook a few professional errands, I enrolled at the London Consortium to go on studying with Mark. A little anecdote. Mark suggested Paul Hurst as my second supervisor, but Paul died the evening after our first tutorial. Stunned, Mark and I went to the administration office. They demanded that I be transferred to another supervisor. Mark hit at the table and explained that the mere fact that Paul died does not mean that he can no longer supervise Eyal. Everyone who was at the AA in the 90s and 2000 knows that Friday evenings were reserved for nothing else. Mark's evening lectures were a demonstration of thought in action. He seemed to explode concepts mid-air, the ugly, the real, the new, the neighbor, the damaged, and we competed to catch ideas as they rained down. Mark's thinking deeply identified with the persecuted and the oppressed. Implicit in his work was an ability to think through the historical traumas of the bloody 20th century. For me, like all others that studied with Mark, his thinking still comes alive whenever it's time to work for these traumas. Forensic Architecture, the organization I run in London, is a manifestation of a thought practice that seeks to use architectural techniques, concepts, and thoughts to deconstruct the horrors we live and die through. The work closely and directly with communities experience state violence, colonization, and environmental degradation. And these days, as you can imagine, we are working very closely with our Palestinian friends in Gaza. We took architectural investigation to play decisive roles in international and national court, in truth commissions, and in new ways of seeing, and as new ways of seeing in the media. We've also transformed some art spaces into people's court. To accept the Mark Cousins Prize on behalf of Forensic Architecture is to acknowledge one of the origins of our practice in Mark's thinking and to close a circle.
Thank you. Yeah, that's I would just want to emphasize some things you said there. Mark's lectures were truly mesmerizing. He was really someone who could think on his feet, and he had incredible stage presence. His mother had been an actress, and he was able to command an audience in a way I've seen no one else. He would leave gaps, he would let things sink in. He would maybe just tease out a single idea for an entire lecture, but they were completely mesmerizing as a way of thinking, and he became a celebrity all over, and people from all over London would come and listen to his talks. And it's wonderful to think that we are keeping alive the message, as it were, that Mark Cousins gave us. Let's move on to our next award, which in fact is a new award, what we're calling a Critical Practice Award, an award that kind of acknowledges that really we need to be thinking about things beyond the obvious horizon of computation itself, be looking at the social commitment of architecture, the political role of it, the environmental role of it, and so on. All of these things should be addressed in the way we approach things. I think we've moved into an era when we've gone beyond fetishizing what a robotic arm can do, and we're thinking about the kind of critical practices that can go with that. So today we are launching this new award. I'm going to ask Mohamed Beju to say a few words on behalf of the person we're going to be awarding our first ever Digital Futures Critical Practice Award. Mohamed.
Yeah, thank you, Neil. It's really an honor. First of all, hello all. It's really an honor that we know that this year's Critical Practice Award is going to be given to Yasaman Ismaili. She is an Iranian architect and she is wonderful. And I'm going to introduce her as she is educated as an architect at the University of Tehran. Yasaman Ismaili has pursued her architectural career at the University of Arizona, the University of Washington. And now she works as an architect and educator based in Tehran and Boston. And in 2018, Yasaman founded Studio Chahar, a nomadic research-based design studio focused on equity, cultural expression, and innovation in the built environment. The Studio Chahar has explores the intersection of traditional methods and innovative technologies for contemporary adaptation, prioritizing the user, the community, and the environmental stewardship. Yasaman's research projects have been recognized with several awards, including the Lafarge Holcim 2018 Global Silver and 2017 Regional Gold Awards, a 2018 American Institute of Architecture National Award of Honor, and a 2022 shortlist for the Aga Khan Award. Yasaman is the recipient of the 2020 Tamayuz Women in Architecture Award in the Rising Star category and the University of Washington 2023 Graduate of Last Decade Award. She is currently a visiting professor at Wentworth Institute of Technology. Yasaman has also taught architecture at Keene State College, Roger Williams University at the University of Washington. Her work has been exhibited worldwide, including in Munich, Tehran, Shiraz, the 2023 Chicago Architecture Biennale, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in Seattle. So it is really amazing to see Yasaman here. Congratulations, Yasaman. Please go on.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi. Hello, so thank you so much for the introduction. I just want to say that it's such an honor and it's such a great feeling and very encouraging actually to be recognized by a truly independent and volunteer-run platform. So thank you so much for that. It's really an honor. I'm just going to share my screen very quickly. So our work at Studio Chahar is nomadic. It's about connecting geographies. It's about how actually in the digital age enables us and empowers us to try different modes of practice, to be connected across the globe and to create a stronger community bonds and bringing people closer to be both local and global and to question assumptions. It's about letting everyone to be part of the decision-making process for the environment in creating inspiring spaces. And perhaps more importantly, it's about making the hard decision to not build when necessary, and instead, as an architect, to be the enabler to fix and take care of our environments. So the journey really starts with Gohar Khatun Girls School project, where I had the honor to work with architects late Paul and Elizabeth Golden to work on a project that was about connecting non-for-profit practices and global, like in a very global platform. And it was really a project where I could learn how we could switch the focus even in such a platform where there are so many team decision makers, and when it's really happening across the globe, to be able to bring the women to be part of their decision making process, to at least shape parts of the school project by creating a national competition for women to design what to be drawn on the walls of their school, and then to come and actually to do it themselves. And then it moves on to this project, to Niamey 2000, where I teamed up with 3 amazing architects to design and build Niamey 2000, where the focus was to use compressed earth blocks as a new way of new material that was cost effective, economic, and also environmentally friendly, to bring together traditional practices with contemporary practice to provide housing for the mid-income class in Niamey. And then it moves on to the Hikma project, where I also teamed up with one of the architects, Mariam Kamara, where again we brought together the community and material innovation, bringing together traditional people who kind of like were the builders of an old mosque to create a new mosque, and to turn a campus that was only used by male, the mosque actually, to kind of turn it to a co-ed campus that was both religious and cultural. And it kind of moves on maybe to some recent examples of this one is Sarjan Zuma project, which is about where we were asked to actually invited to build a tourist campus, but we had to stop because there was a lot of erosion happening in this mangrove forest. And instead, we created this ecotourism program where the tourists actually became part of forming a program to take care of the erosion problem. And within the last 4 years, we planted 70,000 new mangrove trees, looking at traditional ways of patterns of planting, and place them where actually we could control the erosion path of this reef, and make this a journey, a tourism journey. And then for the other part of the project, which was about kind of the pavilions, we also started working in a way that brings 2 different, very geographically different places, Iran and USA, together by working with local boat builders, both in the US and also in Rockland, Maine, where we actually recycled old boat parts to create this spaces for the tourists. So with that, I'm going to end my presentation, and thank you again for this amazing award. Yes, again, like all I can say is that I'm truly honored, and I really want to thank everyone. And I'm going to say bye now.
Thank you a lot. Thank you. It was amazing.
Hello. Yeah. Hello. So, olá a todos e bem-vindos. Esse ano, a nossa participação do canal em português se concentrou em talks e tutoriais online mensais que estão disponíveis no nosso canal do YouTube. E neste evento anual, temos o prazer de indicar a nossa recebedora do Digital Futures International Portuguese Award, a talentosa Andrea Macruz. So, hello and welcome. This year, the participation of the Portuguese channel is concentrated on the tutorials and talks monthly issue. They are all available at our YouTube channel. And this annual event, we have the pleasure to appoint our recipient of the Digital Futures International Portuguese Award, the talented Andrea Macruz. Andrea Macruz is a Brazilian designer with a master's in biodigital architecture, interior design, and contemporary furniture design from institutes in Barcelona, São Paulo, and Milan. She's currently completing a PhD in the Digital Futures program at Tongji University, Shanghai, under the guidance of Neil Leach. In 2010, Andrea founded a design studio focusing on the intersection of nature and technology. Her internationally recognized work has been featured in magazines like Architectural Digest, Domus, Wallpaper, and Vogue, and she has exhibited at many events like the Salone Satellite for Salon in Milan and others. She also participated in London, Barcelona, and Berlin Design Weeks. Andrea has taught at institutions such as the Instituto Europeu de Design, the Centro Universitário Belas Artes, and the Dubai Institute of Design and Innovation. Her research focuses on new technologies, bioinformed design, and neuroscience. Congratulations, Andrea. Parabéns, Andrea. The floor is yours, please.
Obrigada, Angélica. Eu vou dividir aqui minha tela. Bom, acho que vocês conseguem ver minha tela, certo?
Sim, conseguimos.
Tá, perfeito. Então, bom, obrigada. É uma honra receber esse prêmio. Agora eu vou falar inglês para que todos possam me entender. So, thank you, Angélica, the entire Digital Future Brazil team, an international team, and Neil. It's really an honor to receive this award. It means a lot to me, not only to me actually, but to my family who have always supported me on my adventures, and to my country, Brazil, which I deeply love. On that note, I will share some images of my professional academic work, both in Brazil and Dubai, and my research. So this is the first project I created, a parametric lamp that I designed together with architect Carlos Machado for a showroom in Brazil. So one day I saw the lady cleaning the showroom, staring at the lamp. And when she noticed me, she said, this lamp is so beautiful. Is it expensive? And for many reasons, her simple question broke my heart. In a country with huge social, economic, and cultural inequalities, what is the role of dreams? Once the journalist Flávio Fachel asked a child in Brazil, what is your dream? And the child replied that he couldn't afford to have dreams. So Brazil has the 8th largest gross domestic product in the world. However, the GDP per capita is around $11, which is low compared to this $47 country that occupies the 7th position. Brazil is also the 7th largest consumer market in the world, but 63% of the country wealth is concentrated in 1% of the population, which is pretty shocking. And it has the 7th largest population in the world. However, 46% of this population lacks access to basic education, with 90.5 million people being illiterate. So going back to the history of the lamp, thank God the lamp was made out of paper and was produced using a cutting digital machine, making it quite inexpensive. Unlike this, a paper collection was created. But I think the most important point I wanted to make is that art, poetry, and inspiring objects should be accessible to anyone who identifies with them. In 2010, I opened a studio with the mission of creating designs that relate more deeply to people. And to achieve this, I use effective memory through shapes, patterns, and textures from the Brazilian nature. In this context, technology is used to generate multiple ideas to produce intricate drawings and more affordable design pieces. So, given the ongoing destruction of nature, the works of the studio draw attention to the essential role nature plays in our lives. For example, this partition screen is inspired by various types of leaves found in Brazil, such as Monstera and Coleus. And these pieces are cut with a CNC machine and assembled with steel cables. It can be made with different types of woods, such as pine and peroba, and different finishes, such as the ancient tradition of slowly burning the wood and applying natural oil to protect it from insects. These tables are inspired by fan palms, using different materials that once carved, they reveal alternating black and white layers. Other materials with mirrored effects and different carved textures are used to encourage interactions between users and the pieces. And the CNC carvings are embraced as aesthetic elements. These vases and lamps are inspired by the twisting patterns found in the bark of trees in Brazil's Cerrado's vegetation, using both recycled and recyclable plastics. Currently, Denise Xavier and we are designing open source furniture pieces cut with CNC to assist those affected by the recent torrential rains and floods in the southern Brazil due to the climate changes. And these pieces, they use truck canvas and zip ties, and they can be transformed into armchairs, sofas, or beds. Their closed system of joints enable their pieces to be assembled, disassembled, and reassembled in different locations. In my academic work, students often explore how digital gadgets and technologies can be used to digitally transform natural elements. In this workshop with Atelier Marco Bajovic, we took the students to the middle of the rainforest to study the natural elements directly on site. And in other workshops, for instance, this with Arif Maksud and MacLab, we took students to Barcelona to study Gaudí nature-inspired works, allowing them to create a responsive pavilion scheme. In some courses, students explore how technology can increase our understanding of ourselves and the use of these insights to design objects. In these ones, for example, we taught students how to capture their body movements using kinetic in order to design furniture pieces. In others, they learn how technology can be used to design and produce a piece of furniture for children in need. This was a social educational initiative idealized by Denise Xavier, aimed at highlighting to students the importance of donations. Each group of students learn how to design efficiently with a CNC machine to minimize waste. But perhaps the most valuable lesson for the students was learning to donate the product of their imagination and effort, regardless of emotional attachment. And over the years, several institutions in Brazil have benefited from this course, and the projects were exhibited at Almofaber 3 in Sigradi's 2022 conference. Or even how to combine new technologies and memories. This project was a necklace designed by the student who had just had a baby. She was delighted by the smell of the newborn and thought about how new technologies could be combined with smells to enhance affects and emotions. So together with another student, she did experiments interconnected geometric pockets of 3D printer and filling them with liquid scents to create 3D printed jewelry. This way, people can carry the scent of a loved person for emotional comfort and connection. At other times, they explore how to combine memories with AI. So this student created new dreamlike stories to stimulate people's imagination and creativity. So when a person shares a story with the website, the emotion expressed are captured and transformed into visual art. Then the story is mixed with parts of other people's stories, creating a final narrative that connects everyone through their shared experience. And using speech recognition technology, it narrates the fantasy story out loud while presenting a corresponding final image. Sorry, just a second. And they also learn how to design in the metaverse, combining VR and NFTs. So this course was based on my PhD work with Professor Neil Leach as my advisor at TONG by developing art installations using Damasio's homeostasis theory. Mainly, the way you see the exhibition changes according to your affects and emotions. It led to a panel discussion at the Art Dubai and to an art installation, which was one of the 3 finalists of the Christor and Jean-Claude Award 2002 at the New York University Abu Dhabi. So finally, students investigate the role technology plays from a post-human perspective by exploring other than human and multi-species design. For example, they created a chair that includes a space for falcons, which are considered pets in the UAE. They also created a 3D printed oxectic material designed as a form of weaving. And my personal research also explored this post-human direction. For instance, this research began by analyzing the brown and yellow discoloration of indoor leaves to low humidity levels. And inspired by the darkling beetle, we designed 2D and 3D meshes to trap sprayed water. And we also researched bird feathers and other biomimicry case studies, seeking ideas on how to connect the models with each other and to the plant stems using the same material. So we carefully considered how the models could seamlessly adapt to the size and structural features of the plant. And we aim to prioritize the comfort of the plant, similarly to how we design for our bodies. So we call this project like jewelry for plants. And we conducted several tests to compare humidity levels and temperature of the plant with and without the models. We also started to think about how these models could contain ingredients for the plants and dissolve after a certain period of time. Thus, we investigated how biomaterials made from a mixture of xanthan, starch, and cinnamon could potentially be used for 3D printing in the future. This was an article published in the journal Frontiers of Architectural Research. It presented 3 workshops that we taught together with a team in Digital Futures, CAD Futures, and SriGradi to develop a method for measuring impact of 2D biophilically driven geometries on people. And we use MindWave to study brain activity, face of OSC to analyze microfacial expressions and self-reports to get more insights into the process. We use these evaluation methods, cross-layer data, and ranked the geometries created by the students. So I think looking ahead, I'm particularly interested in exploring how AI design can empower minorities and promote inclusive practice while opposing superficial technology solutions and also apathetic, unintuitive, and alienating designs. So my goal is to create products that embody diverse perspectives and experiences, fostering a more equitable and generative future. And this innovative, I think, practice and kind of involves critically examine currently practice to ensure that they are both just and inclusive. It's estimated that AI will impact 60% of jobs in developed countries over the next 10 years, compared to 26% in developing countries like Brazil. So this disparity will exacerbate inequalities by affecting skilled labor in these countries. And that's why I believe Digital Futures is so important, not only for the world, but especially to Brazil. I think it serves as a crucial bridge between countries that currently master technology and hold its intellectual property and rights, and those that are just beginning to explore this amazing yet complex field. So everything I learned over these past years from brilliant mentors, I strive to pass to Brazilians because I deeply believe that everyone has their access and the right to learn. And only through education, Brazilians will be able to benefit from this technological run, rather than having its future imposed by the countries that are leading the changes in the country. And I do hope that I will have the chance to continue my work and collaborating with people who dare to think outside of the box. And I leave here my email for those who are interested in contacting me. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrea. Wonderful work. Parabéns, um trabalho muito bacana. Vamos colaborar, sim. I'd like to call next our Spanish team and Giovanna Piaca to present their award. Thank you so much.
Hola a todos, bienvenidos. Mi nombre es Giovanna Pillaca, soy manager de DigitalFUTURES en español. Gracias, Angélica. Desde el 2021 cofundé DigitalFUTURES en español con un equipo al que veo crecer cada año. Ellos son Alberto Fernández, Camila Andino y Roberto Arguelles. Este 2024 quiero agradecer especialmente a Camila por su gran labor como Workshop Manager de DigitalFUTURES en español y el maravilloso trabajo que hemos hecho juntas para concretar el nivel gráfico de DigitalFUTURES. And now in English. Hello, welcome. My name is Giovanna Pillaca. I'm from Peru. I'm the manager of DigitalFUTURES in Spanish. And since 2021, I have co-founded DigitalFUTURES in Spanish with a marvelous team that I see growing every year. They are Alberto Fernandez from Chile, Camila Andino from Ecuador, and Roberto Arguelles from Mexico. This 2024, I want to special thanks to Cami for her works as workshop manager in DigitalFUTURES in Spanish, and the wonderful work that we have managed to achieve at the graphic level. This year, we have 15 instructors from various backgrounds as artists, architects, and designers from 9 countries such as Argentina, Spain, Peru, Colombia, Ecuador, Honduras, Mexico, Italy, and Portugal. They are focused on various topics from architecture, spatial, digital manufacturing, with programmable biomaterials, as well as the use of artificial intelligence to create new imaginaries. We also had more than 35 registered students from more than 32 countries from 3 continents. For this festival 2024, we are catering to honor a visionary award whose innovative open source tools and research have empowered communities to understand and combat air pollution, promoting environmental and social justice, ecological sustainability, and public health with a Spanish-speaking context and internationally. Nery Calvillo is an architect scholar based at the Research Center for Interdisciplinary Methodologies in University of Warwick, UK. She is director of Spatial Design Office C+ Arquitectas and founder of In the Air, an ongoing collaborative project to sense air pollution. She works at the intersection between spatial design, feminist, technoscience, queer, and environmental studies. And her current work research is on toxic politics, AI natures, atmospheres, and queer urban political ecologies. Her work has been exhibited at the Venice Architecture Biennale, Royal Academy of Arts, Canadian Center for Architecture, or the Shanghai Biennale, and published in interdisciplinary journals like Social Studies of Science, Journal of Extreme Events, or Politic Cultures. She's also author of Aeropolis, Queering Air in Toxic Polluted Worlds. Nery Calvillo is our DigitalFUTURES International Spanish Award 2024. And congratulations, Nery, and the screen is yours.
Thank you, Giovanna and Camila and the whole committee for this amazing award, and I'm thrilled to accept it. It's been such a surprise and such a joy to join this international community of thinkers and practitioners, and I've been already learning a lot, and I hope I'll keep doing so in the future. So I'm going to share a few slides about our project. So I've been using digital technologies and digital design to excuse me, to mediate environments, and this mediation takes place in a very literal sense, basically, but also in trying to allow us to understand or think or visualize aspects of the environment that we might not see because they're invisible or they are hidden by sociopolitical issues. Everything started with In the Air. It was a collaborative project that we initiated at Media Lab Prado in Madrid, and it was a place where technologies and tools and forms of thinking about technology were far away from the background and the tools that I had learned in architecture school and in my architecture practice. And that was very inspiring because on the one hand, there were interdisciplinary projects and interdisciplinary teams. And at the same time, there was a really strong emphasis on citizen science, open source, and collaborative thinking, and reflections around the commons and how technologies might also become a tool for the commons. So all these projects have been collaborative, and you'll see through the slides the different configurations of the teams. So what we tried to do was to be able to see air quality. And within air quality, of course, you end up having pollution, but also most of the gases that we call pollutants are gases that are needed in the atmosphere. So one of the starting points of the project was to spatialize this data. Now, you need to think that this was 2008, so we didn't have the models that we see now. And something important for us was how to see it from a citizen perspective, how to make it visible in a way that one can situate oneself within pollution, but also trying to understand not only the places that are polluted, but most importantly, what are the differences within the city in terms of pollution. And this was, of course, led by an environmental justice interest, understanding that it's not so much about us individuals, which of course everyone should have the rights to manage their own health, but most importantly, to tackle the social interconnections between pollution and social inequity. Another aspect of the project was to try to bring an image of what air and air pollution is, how it relates to the urban fabric, to the urban infrastructures and urban activities. And we've done so in different contexts, through different visual and technological means, in order to bring either more experiential encounters or mediations with the air in Madrid, but also thinking about how they can allow us as researchers to explore qualitatively, how the air interacts with the city. And also very soon we learned that actually making visible is not only about taking data and displaying it some way, but it was also very, very embedded and entrenched with the politics of data. So how where we sense, where we monitor, who monitors becomes a crucial political tool. And as we understand this, we are not understanding the data. But also using digital technologies to sense the Anthropocene, to sense more complex issues, like, for example, something that happened during the pandemic. I'm sure everyone remembers that we started seeing in the news that the air quality had reduced, air pollution had reduced. But what we wanted to know, what was the time gap, if there was any, between the lockdowns and the reduction in certain pollutants, and also trying to understand whether those events were situated in time and space, how long they lasted. So basically, to understand these events not as separate entities and abstract entities, but very much embedded in, as I mentioned before, urban life. Digital technologies have also been useful to make spatial visualizations, in the sense that how can we bring from outside our screens data, so that it creates different forms of interaction, but it can also be used as a form of social experimentation. So in this project in La Casa Encendida in Madrid, what we did was, after the pandemic, to try to think what happened. So what do we do as humans when we see the air that we breathe as solidified, and the social distance between two individuals in a solidified way? How do we feel about that air, the virus that it might contain or might not? How do we talk? How do we feel the air that is crossing from one body to another? So this led to ethnographies that have allowed us to understand the social fears, excitements, but also learnings that take place once we see air in a solidified but also shifting way. Another area of experimentation has been trying to think about what each platform requires or has the capacity to do. So again, what if we take the data from the screens into the public space, and which forms of interaction, which forms of community engagement, political activism can they entail? So, and also trying to think about the specificity of those locations. So what is the closest monitoring station that we have, for example, here in this very tall skyscraper / urban screen in Sao Paulo, which is a really, really busy street, and how people are going to engage with this data. What is it going to make of them? And the largest question that we were trying to ask all the time is, does it make any change to see environmental pollution in a collective setting that doesn't speak about us individuals, but about us as a society? And also collaborating with activist projects, experiments led by the BBC in allowing communities to make visible the data that they collect themselves in order to gather basically community engagement and political power in front of their local institutions. Another question has been who measures, who senses, and what do we sense? Because it feels that pollutants are generic, but also they're highly specific. Each city has its own challenges with pollution, and very often pollution is connected to issues that are social. So the dust from somewhere else that comes and invades us, we feel and we understand that all these xenophobic ideas of the other get embedded in our understandings of pollution. So for this project in Seoul, for the Seoul Biennale of Architecture and Urbanism, we learned that in Seoul they have these yellow dust storms. So what we decided was to measure at the specific location of the Biennale the particulate matter, and also to use the site to be able to understand whether bringing some water vapor, we could remediate partially always some of those particulate matter. Using DIY tools, materials that one can buy at any store, and also to try to think about what making a drawing of these, what making a plan of this installation would be, and how to make it open source so that other people can reassemble installations like this and use them as tools to make the air that they might want visible. Another of the conditions of this project was to try to move away from data as numbers and trying to understand what it means to experience data instead of being obsessed with the how much, trying to explore whether other forms of encounters with data and with each other might create different conversations around pollution. And also not only thinking about pollution as an individual condition, but also pollution as embedded in our daily life in urban spaces. So how to co-design, for example, with neighbors and co-build with neighbors in an abandoned part of a public square in Madrid, and how bringing in different layers of environmental pollution, but also in a joyful way in which participants can learn what are the closest rivers and why they're polluted. So not only making visible, again, to think about risk, but to think about our entanglements with resources and environmental conditions that are very obviously connected to landscapes, but we are completely detached when we live in cities. And the last aspect that I wanted to comment on, which is very close to what I'm doing now, or more focused on now, is not only to see pollutants, but what if we see the liveliness of air? And I started thinking about this when we did this visualization on pollen. and trying to explore how different it is to think about the air from a pollutant perspective, and rather from pollen, which is a pollutant for some asthmatic people, but also the source of life for the biosphere. So how do we breathe differently, if so, when we have in mind these explosions of life every spring? And I've been reflecting on this in my book, Aeropolis. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Neria. Now, I would like to invite Mohamed Benjo to continue with the Fary Awards. Thank you.
Thank you, Giovanna. Okay. First in فارسی. سلام به همه. من محمد بهجو هستم، مدیر دیجیتال فیچرز فارسی و مدیر منطقه ایران و خاورمیانه دیجیتال فیچرز ورلد. من به همراه تیمم که آقای علیرضا سیدی و کاوه خدابخشی و آقای دکتر مرتضی همتی هستن، داریم با هم کار میکنیم و تلاش میکنیم که این چراغ دیجیتال فیچرز فارسی روشن بمونه و بتونیم این موقعیت رو در اختیار افراد فارسی زبان قرار بدیم که بتونن از موقعیت‌های برابر استفاده کنن و با بقیه دنیا تعامل داشته باشن. Now in English, okay, I'm Mohamed Beju. I'm Digital Features Farsi manager, and this is my team, Digital Farsi team. Alireza Saidi from Texas Tech University, Kaveh Khodabakhshi and Morteza Hemmati, they are also from University of Tehran. And this year, our main focus was on workshops and tutorial sessions. So we had like 8 workshops from machine learning, optimization, digital fabrication, and environmental aware design, design fiction, and robotic fabrication. And so much things was going on. Most of the instructors were from Iran, and 2 of them were from Australia. So now let's go to the next slide, as we want to announce our Farsi Award winner, who is Mona Kandi. So we are really glad and honored to announce that Mona Kandi is the award winner for this year, and it is such an honor to see a female award winner this year for Farsi Award and also for the Critical Practice Award, Yasaman. So Mona Kandi is an architect, researcher, and educator who graduated from the University of California, Berkeley. She is an assistant professor of architecture and the director of Morphogenesis Lab at the Washington State University. Her research is an interdisciplinary link in architecture, computer science, neuroscience, psychology, and material science. It focuses on the emotive and performative intelligent architecture, which examines the role of artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, and sensory environments and adaptive architecture to enhance social, environmental, and personal well-being. Her work has been recognized with several national and international prestigious awards, such as the World Architecture Award, Architizer A+ Award in Architecture Plus in New Technology, LACA competition, prestigious Wilczek Award for Creative Promise in Architecture. Her work was exhibited in different national and international exhibitions, such as the Venice Biennale of Architecture, Bellevue Arts Museum, Melbourne Design, La Trobe Regional Gallery Hub, AIA Spoken Award Gala, and Lewis Clark State College Center for Arts and History. So Mona, the screen is yours. Please go on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mohammed, for the nice introduction. So I think we are going to share the screen from your side. And if we can go to the full screen, that would be awesome. Let's fix this technical issue.
while we're kind of... Okay, we should be good.
Great,
Yep.
thank you. So I'm deeply honored and humbled to receive the 2024 Digital Futures International Award. This award is a profound recognition of the innovative and impactful work being done at the intersection of architecture and technology. It's a testament to the hard work, passion, and dedication of many individuals and teams I have had the privilege of collaborating with throughout my career. As an architect, researcher, and educator, you can go to the next slides. I believe that, yeah, as I'm talking, you can just navigate through the slides. So as an architect, researcher, and educator, my journey has been driven by a profound curiosity about how we can redefine our built environment to better serve humanity. At the Morphogenesis Lab at Washington State University, as you can see on the background images and videos, as it goes forward, my work has centered around the concept of emotive and performative intelligent architecture, why subjective well-being, equitable design, positive psychology, and social health are the focus of emotive intelligent architecture. The performative intelligent architecture and aspect of that involve environmental concerns such as sustainability, building performance, and decarbonization. By integrating architecture with, my research is interdisciplinary, and I'm trying to integrate architecture with computer science, neuroscience, psychology, and material science. And through this integration, we aim to create spaces that are not just adaptive, but also deeply responsive to human and environmental needs. In this era of, rapid technological advancement, the potential of artificial intelligence and machine learning in architecture is boundless. We are witnessing a transformative shift where building can think, learn, and adapt, and creating environments that enhance well-being, foster inclusivity, and promote sustainability. My work is the essence of extended intelligence and emotive intelligence, a fusion of technology and empathy to democratize design and make it accessible to all. My research focuses on developing cyber-physical adaptive spaces that respond to users' physiological and psychological states in real time. By leveraging biological and neurological data and integrating machine learning and artificial intelligence, we create environments that dynamically adjust to improve comfort, productivity, and overall quality of life. As you can see, in the presented project in the background, the adaptive built environment is responsive to the brain and the body of the occupant. Here, a set of biological data are being communicated with the built environment, and the space changes to accommodate the needs. You can see in some of this video that you can think and control the space with your brain. And you can have different emotion. You can think about different, requirement that you want, and the building can respond accordingly. So you might say that what is the application of such spaces or doing all this work? So there are a couple of main applications that I would say. The most important one could be medical, physical, and mental well-being. By creating a line of communication between space and inhabitant, this research has significant implication in medical field by providing augmented living assistance to people with physical disabilities, neuromuscular diseases, motor system disorders, and elderlies, and ultimately empowering these individuals by allowing them to regain control over their environment. In addition to that, it can also be utilized as a method of remedial therapy, particularly for individuals with mental disabilities, such as those with autism and PTSD, offering a greater role in shaping their built environment and living a more equal and independent lifestyle. For example, Fary and Parasympathetic Project are examples of such spaces. The other application is in energy and building performance. This research helps to optimize building performance and energy consumption by creating stored environments that autonomously respond to the occupant's comfort level by collecting the user's biological data and then adjusting the built environment accordingly. These data are also collected from environment, and the building responds not only to the occupant needs, but also to the environmental consideration. So Sumata is an example of the performative intelligent architecture, which is responding to this energy optimization of the building. In addition to, all these important main categories of the application, this research has infinite, application in car industry, education, criminology, other, health development, and so on. So currently we are working and collaborating on different projects, all the way from the children education to the police and, criminology aspect of that, to the psychology aspect of that, to children's psychology and so on. So the work is not just about the technology, it's about crafting a future where our built environment contributes positively to our mental and physical health, social equity, and environmental sustainability. There is a quote from Buckminster Fuller. It says that humanity is acquiring all the right technology for all the wrong reason. I would like to say it's a big claim, but I'm trying to achieving these things, that trying to be an evidence of the opposite, and use the creative implementation of the emerging technology and the current theory and practice of AI in design towards intersecting technology and well-being in our spaces to create healthier planet, healthier society, and healthier people. Throughout this journey, I have been fortunate to receive support from various institutions and organizations, including National Endowments for the Arts, the National Institute of Health and National Science Foundation, Autodesk, Wilczek Foundation, and Institute for Advanced Architecture of Catalonia. Their support has been fundamental and very instrumental in pushing the boundaries of what is possible in architectural design. I'm also, deeply grateful to my colleagues, students, my team, and mentors in my career. Your inspiration, collaboration, and belief in the vision of a better built environment have been invaluable. The award is not just about the recognition of the past achievement, but also a motivation to continue exploring, innovating, and pushing the boundaries of architecture and design. Together, we can create spaces that are intelligent, inclusive, and sustainable, ultimately enhancing the quality of life for people around the world. Thank you very much, Digital Futures, for this incredible honor. This recognition is not just a celebration of what we have accomplished, but a call to action for future. There is still so much to explore, innovate, and achieve. And as we move forward, let us continue to push the boundaries of what architecture can be. I truly appreciate what Neil and Digital Future teams is doing in disseminating architecture knowledge and democratizing the architecture education and increase inclusivity. That means a lot to all of us. Thanks for all the great work that you are doing. And I'm excited about the future that we can build together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mona. Really great and inspiring work as always, and as expected from you. And now I invite Zeynep. Zeynep, the screen is yours. Please speak.
Thank you, Mohammed. First and Turkish değerli konuklar, Digital Futures kapanış törenine hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Bugün burada Türkçe Dil Kanalı ve ekibi olarak bu yılın özetini ve ödül saatimizi paylaşmaktan büyük mutluluk duyuyoruz. And in English, welcome to the closing ceremony of Digital Futures. Today, as Language Channel and team, we are pleased to share this year's summary and welcome our award winner. Sefer. Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
can you come back? I will be covering.
As Digital Futures Turkish team, Özge, Servin, and Seper, we aim to share Digital Futures' mission of democratizing education and sharing the potential of free information. As the Turkish channel, we are determined to carry the message to every Turkish speaking corner of the world and to cooperate in the same language, even though most of us live in other countries.
This year, we hosted 6 valuable workshops, 5 of which focused on artificial intelligence, one of the most current and remarkable subjects today. The other workshop equipped our students with new skills in 3D modeling. Through these workshops, we reached a total of 191 students from across Turkey. The interest and participation of our students have made us very happy and motivated us even more for the future.
Now we are honored and happy to announce this year's award winner, Ersin Anhersin, who is an expert in digital art and interactive installations and stands out with his work and contributions. Ersin Anhersin is an artist, director, and creative director of the London-based experiential studio Marshmallow Laser Feast. Ersin's art practice combines a wide range of disciplines, including sculpture, installation, live performance, and mixed reality. His works illuminates the hidden natural forces that surround us, inviting participants to navigate with a sensory perception beyond their daily experience. In these spaces, the non-physical world is removed to reveal networks, processes, and systems that are once sublimed, unpinned by research, and fundamental to the life on Earth. He has designed and directed, next slide please, he has directed and designed for the likes of the critically acclaimed Saatchi Gallery debut. We live in an ocean of air in the eyes of the animal, which won the Wired Innovation Award. Most recently, he and the team at MLF won the Tribeca Film Festival Storyplaces Award for Innovation and Storytelling and Best VR Film at VR Arts Festival for Trihagar Bavona. As his work has been exhibited all around the world, and here you can see his works that amaze and inspire us. Ersin, thank you for your participation. The stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna share my screen immediately, and we can get going. Here we go. Share sound. Think. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, not full screen, but we can see the screen.
Oh, okay. Let's try again. Working in the intersection of art, science, technology, and yet
this
struggling
happens.
big time. Okay, I'm gonna stop my screen share. Yeah. Okay, should be good now. Perfect.
Yes, perfect.
Well,
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm really delighted and honored to receive this wonderful award. Dear Digital Futures team, I'm grateful for the work you are doing. It is a labor of love to spread the creative computation and architecture, mycelium of creativity with many nodes around the globe. This is the representation of it is incredible. Art is the purveyor of hope, and thanks for shining bright for a better collective future for all. This award is especially meaningful because Memo Akden, who received this award last year, gave me my first job in London and became a mentor for many years. Following in his footsteps is another honor. Everything I create is part of a collective effort. My comrades and I at Marshmallow Laser Feast pour our heart into these works. So I accept this award on behalf of a large and dedicated team. In the background, you are seeing one of our early work from 2015. It's called In the Eyes of the Animal, which is about embodiment of other species sensory perception their Umwelt, how they understand the world, how our parallel realities can coexist. And there are much more richer, much more interesting realities than the humans. So the work often revolves around being able to understand the world that is often invisible or inaccessible to our senses. As an artist collective, we seek to find emotional resonance in scientific stories that connects us to the more than human world. And coupled with emerging technologies, these stories allow us to explore what is it like to be human and more than human. This quote from Radical Botany describes it all, actually. Plants are alive, yet they do not present us with the same impression of life that animals do. Are we, as the victims of plant blindness, simply unable to notice their liveliness? Everything we do is an attempt to overcome this plant blindness. And two main lines of inquiries that are very close to our hearts are embodiment of different sensory beings, being able to disembody human senses and embody something else, and exploring this invisible realm that is often explained or observed through scientific observation, but yet to find its place in our day-to-day life. So every piece of project, we are combining emerging technologies from mixed reality applications to virtual reality, artificial intelligence mediated computational systems to scientific scanning and imaging techniques to create that bridge where we can overcome the plant blindness. And I'm quite grateful that my day-to-day wonders, apart from running a studio with my colleagues, is asking questions like this. What is it like to be a tree? These are sequoia trees from California. If you've known them, if you've been in the presence of one, you immediately realize your self-importance almost disappears. That disillusioned self completely disappears. And imagining what is it like to be one of the largest organisms that has ever existed, that has endured more than 2,500 years. And how does it feel to host a vast web of relationships that anchor an entire ecosystem? And every project that is a multisensory mixed reality installation utilizing virtual reality, scent, haptics, often start from a place where we try to create a ritualistic approach and try to practice few things within the work, like stillness, like a tree, or the presence. When you can't move, how do you, become something much larger than yourself, like a tree does? Standing deep within a kind of knowledge that surpasses human knowledge. Seeing with your fingertips, your leaves, your crown, or noticing the wetness of your eyes as a human being. These simple acts will bring us a step closer, and every articulation, every expression of these projects are trying to achieve that. And it doesn't matter what happens in the gallery, in a VR headset, in front of a large screen. What matters is when you go to a park, when you look at your house plant, when you walk through a forest, would you ask these questions? Would you see that livelihood that runs through nature? And then I think it's becoming more meaningful. Frihagur Vavona was one of those pieces that we've created in 2016 and 2017 that still travels around the world. And looking at this magical journey of water from the roots of a giant sequoia tree all the way to the canopy. They take around 1,200 liters water a day per tree. They create the atmosphere, they create the clouds, they create the weather around them and around us. So this beautiful plumbing that is ancient and yet invisible. And the project allows you to put your head inside, become a drop of water, and follow all the way to the magical transpiration. that fuels the photosynthesis that allows us to breathe freely. And each of these projects are a scientific exploration, an inquiry. It allows us to work with scientists, create a long research phase where we learn more than probably we learned from our entire education lives. Every project is an opportunity. And then comes the extensive data gathering process where we use architectural tools such as LiDAR scanners, photogrammetry, now constructed light scanners, and looking at nerve scanners. Being able to capture the beauty and then working with scientists to understand the inner workings of these beings and being able to model those as close as possible with one big difference, that is time. It normally takes 20 minutes for a single drop of water to arrive at the canopy. That is too long. How do we dial up or dial ourselves down to 3 time? And each of these projects, with its embodiment and exploration in multisensory storytelling, is trying to achieve that. And I am grateful again, because the work that you recognize honors me, but also I'm lucky that this work takes me around the world while scanning, while exploring, while doing the data surveys or ecological surveys. We get to spend time with these beings, noticing small things, the changes in the clouds and the humidity, the changes in the temperature, or the minute sounds that you wouldn't hear otherwise. So these works taking us all around the world, from giant sequoias of the California to the depths of the Amazon rainforest in Colombia and Peru. Looking at and being with these species. This is a Ceiba plantandra tree that is an incredible bridge. It's a beacon of, an ecological beacon, a spiritual beacon, but also it's a beacon for indigenous people who live there, that they navigate through these emergent trees as they provide the Google map points almost. But being with them, you realize that they are in thousands of symbiotic relationship. There's another forest living above them, allowing harpy eagles to sloths. So incredible beings of thousands of different species of ants living on top of those. So it's trying to illuminate the invisible, but fundamental to interconnectedness between major kingdoms of life that is embodied in this being. And when we think about the breaths we take, when we contemplate the relationship between our breathing cells and the breathing planet, we encounter this great question: where does my body end and where does the world begin? And we take anywhere from 17,000 to 30,000 breaths a day. Almost a third of those breaths coming from the trees and the rest coming from the oceans. So every third moment, every third breath, you are in an intimate relationship with a giant being somewhere far from you, or maybe near. But acknowledging that reality with the simple tool, simple act of respiration is quite magical. Obviously, breathing meditation and meditation itself would get us there. But these projects are trying to shortcut, give a glimpse as a group of people embark on a journey. Following their out-breath into a giant tree, they become one with the whole. And when we think about the breath, again, each of these pieces trying to create a portal, a connection with a tree that you've never met and you're probably never going to meet from the depths of the Taiwanese red cypress forests or the Colombian Amazon. This is a Kapinuri tree, another majestic being with beautiful buttress roots. But what we now know, trees are moving, not for good. They are forced to move. Some of the trees, the research in America especially, shows that some of the species traveling around 100 kilometers over the last decade. And what happens in a few decades is trees come and hit the mountaintops, and it's called mountaintop extinction, where there's no more place to go. So how do we create an emotional connection with a tree that we've never met and they are moving away from us. Breathing with the Forests is a multisensory installation, a video installation that we launched last year, that the visitors are prompted to breathe with the sound initially before seeing the screen, and eventually arriving in front of it, realizing that every out-breath ripples through the soil line. The mycelial structure takes most of the sequestrated carbon, and every time trees transpirate, every time they produce oxygen and water vapor, we inhale. This cyclical 5 second in, 5 second out act brings us closer to feeling this invisible bond, hopefully care a little more. And we aim to sculpt with the malleable texture of perception, human perception, and disembody and embody other beings, or putting our heads into other beings' inner systems. Works of Nature is the latest monographic show. We had it in ACME in Melbourne in 2024. And it's a combination of an array of immersive installations, drawing visitors into a series of ecological open-eye meditations almost, trying to illustrate this interconnectedness with the natural world through multisensory immersive artworks, and investigate the protection and the regeneration of Earth's endangered ecosystems. Each experience situates the audience in an encounter, traces the threads of our coexistence, expanding our sense of self beyond our bodies, reaching out into the sensuous and more than human experience of the world. And finally, these two hearts, these are two of my hearts. One from my home country, Turkey. A beautiful tree surprised me on a very long hike in Kabak, south of Turkey, along the coast of Mediterranean, where it just couldn't breathe for a while, just looking at the beauty of it. And the other heart is one of our work called The Tides Within Us, exploring the inner systems of a human being, where when we look at these mirroring structures, evolutionary arrival point that presents the similarities, it actually eases us to feel more connected than ever, and yet we are not. So every piece of work trying to remind myself and also to the audience we are sharing the work with, that invisible bond. So please go out and hug a tree, if anything. It's a wonderful Sunday. Thank you, committee, again for this wonderful recognition and the awards.
Thank you, Ersin. It was a pleasure to have you with us. We are honored and grateful to have a Turkish audience who share their valuable and unique knowledge and experience with us. And we look forward to more as Digital Futures Turkish language channel. Thank you for your support and participation in this journey. Now I would like to hand over to my colleague, Sarah.
Thank you so much. We will be introducing the Arabic channel at first with a small brief in Arabic, and then we'll go with English. مرحبا بكم في قناة ديجيتال فيوتشرز بالعربي. اسمي سارة فرعون من فريق ديجيتال فيوتشرز. سأكون معكم بالنيابة عن فريقنا أحمد حسب، أنس محمد وهدى غازي. يسعدني أن أقدم لكم لمحة عن ورش العمل باللغة العربية لصيف عام 2024، ومن ثم تكريم مرشحنا للجائزة العربية من Digital Futures International. Digital Futures هي منصة تعليمية مستقلة أونلاين تهدف إلى إتاحة ونشر التعليم المعماري المتقدم لجميع الطلاب والمعماريين حول العالم بشكل مجاني. في الصيف من كل عام تنظم منصة Digital Futures عدد من ورش العمل، حيث ضمت ورش عمل اللغة العربية لهذا العام أفضل الخبراء في مجالات مختلفة للعمارة المتقدمة كالطباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد باستخدام الطين، ورشة شكل المستقبل مع مهندسة رنا إبراهيم وفريق RIS Studio. Could we please go to the workshop slide? Thank you. طباعة ثلاثية الأبعاد باستخدام الطين، ورشة عمل شكل المستقبل، وورشة المحاكاة المتقدمة باستخدام راينو، جراس هوبر وأنريل إنجن مع شركة كالي تكنولوجي، بالإضافة لورشات الذكاء الاصطناعي التي عرضت أحدث الأدوات المختلفة، منها ورشة التصميم باستخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي للمعماريين مع مهندس محمد العربي، وورشة التشكيلات الحضرية بقوة الذكاء الاصطناعي مع مهندس خالد سعد الدين. Welcome to Digital Futures Arabic channel. My name is Sarah. I'm the Arabic language manager, and on the behalf of the Digital Futures Arabic team, I'm pleased to present an overview of the Arabic workshops for this summer. Our Arabic team consists of Ahmed Hassab, Anas Muhammad, and Huda Ghazi. We will be presenting our Arabic workshops, followed by honoring our nominee for the Arab Award from Digital Futures International. This year's Arabic workshops included top experts in various fields of advanced architecture in the Arab world, such as 3D printing with clay, advanced simulations using Rhino, Grasshopper, and Unreal Engine, in addition to AI workshop that showcase the latest tools and their integration with AI and urban design. Today, we're proudly presenting our Digital Futures International Arabic Award, Dr. Wissam Al-Asali. Wissam Al-Asali is an esteemed architect, educator, and researcher with experience in the Middle East, Spain, and Scandinavia. He graduated from Damascus University and earned his master's degree in architecture and urban studies from Cambridge University in 2016. He completed his PhD at the Center of Natural Material Innovation at Cambridge 2021, and his research has earned the RIBA President's Awards and the Claire Hall Selge Medal as well. Wissam is passionate about integrating digital tools with vernacular building crafts for affordable and sustainable construction. In 2009, he co-founded IW Lab with Dr. Iyas Shaheen, a multidisciplinary research laboratory focused on cultural and architecture design research. It aims to modernize traditional techniques and address socioeconomic context in Syria and the Arab region. The lab recently won the Global Award for Sustainable Architecture 2024 under the theme Architecture is Education in Venice. Wissam also co-founded CERCA, which is a Center for Learning and Innovation in Building Crafts and Natural Material in Valencia, and he's also an assistant professor of architecture at IE University in Spain. As a Syrian Arabic architect, I'm proudly presenting this award to Dr. Wissam with great appreciation of his achievements. Unfortunately, Dr. Wissam will not be able to join the session today due to traveling. That's why he pre-recorded his presentation for you.
Dear members and organizers of Digital Futures, thank you so much. I'm very grateful for all the committees, for the organization, and for the platform. I wish I would have been with you today. Fortunately, I'm traveling, so I'm recording this video for you. I am Wissam Al-Asali. I'm a researcher, architect, and designer dedicated to combining local crafts with digital technologies. Usually would like to introduce a little bit about myself. I'm an assistant professor at IE School of Architecture and Design. I'm also the founder of IW Lab in Syria and Spain, which I co-direct with my colleague, Dr. Iyas Shaheen, who's based in Damascus. And in 2020, I co-founded CERCA with Salvador Gomes, a master builder and artisan in Valencia. And CERCA is an initiative that is dedicated for teaching building crafts in Spain and the Arab region. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to Digital Futures for their support and this recognition. I am immensely honored and delighted to be nominated for your esteemed International Arabic Award, and I accept that with great joy and humility. My work focuses on what I call structural crafts, involving rethinking local building practices. I emphasize that digital design tools facilitate knowledge exchange between emerging design methodologies and tacit expertise of building crafts that it's passed down through generations. So it's these two lenses that I am interested in, and the space between them, the design as an abstracted exercise that derives specific values and the local and vernacular practices that are tacit and are related to the context and passed down through generations. I believe that the division of the production of the built environment into what we call high tech and low tech is probably artificial. And I try to replace that into a lens of scarcity and abundance of resources and tools. What is it that it's at our hand, and what is it that it's not, being digital, local, or vernacular? So I always aim to collaborate with artisan communities, aiming not only to what we call today democratize construction, but to enrich it by understanding how people practice and live in the built environment. If I want to think about my work, I think of it as a division between three main focuses: documentation, dialogue, and production. Well, in documentation, I strive to understand mechanisms of producing the built environment, of course, beyond this centralized figure of an artist or designer or an architect. So I'm really interested in vernacular construction. Now, many of these local and vernacular mechanisms are not as random as we think they are. But they carry a sensory understanding of parametrics and parametrism that it's based again on limitations and possibilities. So it's kind of a parametricism that it's in its rawest form. And I think our understanding and our education in how design holds specific parameters helps us a lot in the documentation of vernacular architecture. This is the case of dovecotes construction in Egypt, which we documented with mud, which we documented in our project Cultures of Making at IW Lab. As you can see in the documentation, we realized that these very different typologies of dovecotes are somewhat interconnected, and they all share this construction unit, which is a terracotta pot that generates different, diverse solutions for the same structure. In dialogue, I attempt to intervene in established processes of crafts to maybe derive new products, find new solutions, applications, and sometimes even just finding new questions about these crafts. This is precisely the case with our current project Mensaj in Syria, in which we're combining analysis of the craft with analysis of structures. And we are working with local craft communities in southern Syria, weaving plants such as reeds and straw to produce architecturally scaled element. This is the very first prototype that was more of the opening of the dialogue between us and these craft communities. And this is the second prototype that we worked on last year, and this year we're working on another prototype as well. Finally, the final part of my work, which focuses on production, involves creating a new imagination maybe for architectural practice that tries to reconcile local crafts with contemporary technology. This is the example of using augmented reality in thin tile vaulting in Spain. I've worked on this project with a larger team of collaborators who I truly thank for their work. It's a project that it's a research venture between IE University, my university, and Princeton University, the form finding lab led by Professor Sigrid Adriansen in the Department of Engineering at Princeton. So we're trying to integrate augmented reality with tile vault construction in Spain. And the project, I think it was presented by my colleague, Ruben Oval, in your Digital Futures platform last year. This is the view between the local application of tile vaulting with the digital application of holographic guidewire. All right. What I can say about this project very briefly is that it provided a space for discussion and knowledge exchange between us, the designer, the engineers who were on site, and the builder, Salvador Gomes, on not only the project itself, but on tile vaulting, what is the possible application for this, and if it needs any kind of upgrades or different thoughts about or different applications that we haven't thought about. You can go to Waban's talk about he discusses in detail this project. Finally, those are examples of the project that I've worked and I'm still working on. Again, it would not have been possible without the support of a large team of friends and colleagues. Well, that's it. Finally, maybe just a few words focusing on the intersection between the globality of technology and the locality of its application. I find your institution and platform an excellent example of working in these fields through the conversation between its global and local branches. This makes me extremely proud to receive this award for the Arab region. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Wissam. Congratulations on your achievements. And now I will be handling it to Epsita and the English team. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Epsita and the workshops, and thanks to my wonderful team of Nupur Gandhi, Mudra Masurekar, Reem Shaheen, and definitely Bhavleen Kaur, who has been supporting me behind for these workshops. Overall, we have conducted around 19 workshops, and the workshops ranged from generative AI imaging to computer vision to biodesign and fabrication. Could we go to the next slide, please? And we were trying our best to get diverse tutors from different backgrounds to share their knowledge through the workshops. And to the instructors, I thank you for giving us your time to conduct and spread your valuable knowledge across the world. We were able to reach almost 900 students through these 19 workshops, and we're grateful for that. We also roped in bilingual workshops in Bengali, 2 of them in Bengali, and 1 Thai bilingual workshop, which also range from AI to biodesign. So that was our umbrella topic. And all those workshops throughout, they have been performing pretty well, and it's still going on. So to the instructors and the students, thank you for joining, and hope you have enjoyed conducting these workshops. Now, I would like to pass the floor back to Neil Leach for closing remarks. Neil.
Thank you. What an astonishing series of presentations. I think what came across to me is that this has really become a platform for exchange and an international platform of exchange. It's wonderful to hear the different languages being used and to be reminded that I think we all, in some senses, are part of a process of cross-fertilization of ideas, and many of us indeed, including myself, are living in different countries to where we were born and brought up. And I think that it really shows the value of having a platform that is international, where we can share these ideas and especially bring those ideas to less privileged parts of the world. I think also the reminder here is even in the most privileged parts of the world, I'm talking here about parts of Europe and the States especially, a lot of people actually have come from other places to see Sen showing his work alongside a photograph of a tree in Turkey. To see all this kind of fertilization of ideas, it's been astonishing. And the other thing I think I'd point out that has been so remarkable about this year's presentations is the kind of way in which people are engaging and addressing environmental issues. It's not as though it's an add-on extra, it's integrated into all the work itself. And here I mention also John Frazer, who's now living in Scotland in a carbon zero environment there. I just wanted to finish by thanking everyone for contributing to all this, the workshops that have been made, the incredible hard work that's been done behind the scenes by the Digital Futures team, and congratulating the award winners. I think that what makes this special is that we are reaching out and we are bringing in some voices that are actually quite less, in some cases, not so well known, and showing everyone that the architectural community is worldwide. It's not based in certain cities. It's not based in one particular cultures. It is like Digital Futures itself, a completely international community. So let me just simply say thank you and congratulations, and also to say that we are already planning the next steps ahead for this coming year, and everything will be, of course, posted online. I don't know if Bavleen has any further comments to add for this. We do post all our work on the Digital Futures .international website, and on our YouTube channel. And please feel free to share this information. What we're trying to do more than anything else is bring other people into the community so they can participate and benefit from the exchange of ideas that has been so rich and so fruitful. Bavleen, do you want to add anything finally?
No, I think we're good, but I definitely want to thank once again the team. It has been an incredible 1 or 2 months of non-stop working behind the scenes. We did manage to do most and the best of what we could, and looking forward, we will be connecting with you all with the workshop outcomes, which is for us some of the most important kind of achievement of this year's workshops, with workshops happening also in the hybrid mode. Like, it was really surprised that Fab Labs in Iran and in UAE and everywhere, they opened doors for people to 3D print and work in their labs. So we look forward to the workshop outcomes in the upcoming weeks. And yes, maybe we could do our final customary kind of a picture, and then
it would be wonderful to hear everyone saying goodbye and thank you in their own languages, because I think that is so beautiful to hear all these other languages. So maybe if we could ask everyone to put their videos
in the same order: Portuguese, Spanish, Farsi, Arabic, Turkish. Go ahead.
Yeah. Ciao. It's like Italian. Ciao. Até logo. See you soon.
شكرا لكم وإلى اللقاء.
Danke schön, vielen Dank.
Obrigada a todos, foi ótimo.
از همه تشکر میکنم. خداحافظ.
Chao y muchas gracias. Nos vemos el próximo año.
O zaman teşekkürler, görüşmek üzere.
Hoşçakalın.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you so much for having this opportunity.
ممنون و خداحافظ.
Gracias por tenernos, gracias por la oportunidad.
Tack så mycket.
قدردانی ویژه از همه کسانی که زحمت کشیدن، به ویژه خانم شیرزاد نیا، زهرا شیرزاد نیا و علی گوهریان و بقیه عزیزان.
مرسی نیل، دیجیتال فیوچر تیم، برای کارهای خوبی که میکنین. تبریک میگم به همه کسایی که جایزه بردن. خیلی کارهای واقعا هیجان انگیزی انجام داره میشه. خیلی افتخار میکنم به همه این ذهنهای جدیدی که و نیروهای جدیدی که داره به فیلد آرکیتکچر اضافه میشه. خواستم تشکر کنم و خداحافظی کنم از همه.
Special thanks to Neil Leach and John Frazer for their contribution, and other invaluable colleagues joined us in this program, and I am proud to have the opportunity to see such a invaluable movement internationally, stronger together with the full energy from younger generation. A special thanks to all.
Merci.
So, yeah.
Muchas
think
gracias a todos. Qué lindo poder ver que nos hayan acompañado en este evento. Thank you everyone for joining us. It was incredibly inspiring. I know we'll all continue to do amazing work together. Thank you so much.
Yes. And Cami, thank you for the amazing graphics and everything that you've been doing behind the scenes.
Happy to help.
We're in awe. We're in awe of your talent. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you.
Kami.
So I think with that, we can wrap things up. I say wrap things up. We are planning the next thing. So please come and join us. What I really want to see is more voices coming from outside. I'd love to have a new hybridities from Kazakhstan, for example. I'd love to see what's going on in other parts of the world. And I've got to say, this has been such an education for me personally. The danger, I think, in our theory group is we all talk about what's happening in North America, and actually what we've discovered is there's an incredibly vibrant voices, energetic voices, inspiring voices from elsewhere in the world, and that's really what we want to hear. We want to share these ideas. So thank you very much, gracias, merci, and so on. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Lovely to meet you all. Thank you for those presentations.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
I should speak to you in Gaelic, but we don't speak Gaelic in our Glen. We speak Doric, and nobody on the planet can speak Doric apart from those who are more or less within eyesight. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, John. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you all.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.